Taliban's dress code tyranny. Afghan women face arrest over hijab. The Taliban's recent enforcement of a strict dress code in Kabul, leading to the arrest of women for wearing bad hijab, marks a further erosion of women's rights in Afghanistan. This crackdown, confirmed by Abdul Ghafar Farooq, a spokesman for the Taliban's Ministry of Virtue and Vice, adds to existing bans on education, employment, and public access for Afghan women. Farouk described the detained women as, quote, a few limited women who spread bad hijab in Islamic society, but did not clarify the criteria for bad hijab. The Taliban's directive mandates that women not only show their eyes and preferably wear a burqa, echoing their previous rule in pre 2001. The arrests, which involve female police officers and potential judicial proceedings or strict bail conditions, come amidst international scrutiny over the Taliban's treatment of women. The UN Security Council's proposal for a special envoy to address gender and human rights issues in Afghanistan was dismissed by the Taliban, and the US State Department expressed concerns about the Taliban's repressive actions, stating, quote, that they made irreparable damage to Afghan society and further moved the Taliban away from normalizing with the international community. So I thought that this was important to talk about for a few reasons. One, people, and I don't know how accurate this is, but people have been talking about how it seems like the Taliban is almost moving to like a Iran model in a way with some form of like morality police. But my understanding, and I mean, I could always be wrong, is that there was always like generalized enforcement, right? Because I mean, there's Talibs like walking around the street. Um, and second, because I want to still talk about what's happening to the people in Afghanistan. And it's difficult because I genuinely don't know what we can do to assist people in Afghanistan. But it's we can't like just forget about it and write it off. It still is worth highlighting and raising awareness about and like making sure that people don't forget exactly how bad it is. Um, but Armin, what do you think? Have you heard about this at all?
Yes, yes. I mean, I heard the news. Yes. On Iran International, I think I heard it. Yeah, or
Hmm.
BBC Persian. But um, here's the thing. So, the two things. Why is Taliban so insisting on this? Even though a lot of they desperately need international recognition. Are they insane? Um, they're not insane. The I mean, if they were insane, it would be easier to get rid of them. But they're not insane. You have to understand the game they're playing here. Um, the strategy here is that the people who have bled for Taliban, the people who have died for Taliban, the people who have lost loved one for Taliban, they did this specifically for an Islamic state, for an Islamic government, right? So if you were a Taliban, one of the Taliban leaders, you have to understand that if you do not enforce Islamic Sharia, people within your by the way, I'm not defending any of this. I hope you understand that I'm not defending of it, people. I am just telling you what the mindset is. So I'm just if they you would think that if they need money right now, because the Taliban, they like money, they like more trade, they like to be able to have more economic growth, but their survival will be at stake if they do not enforce the laws where their members fought for. Like, the main reason that they were fighting Americans and everyone else was not economic prosperity. Like, the members, they didn't die, they died for Islam. They went and killed for and bled for Islam. And if you don't give them Islam, they will turn on you, or they will leave the Taliban and join ISIS because ISIS would come and like say like, oh, look at these Taliban, look at the Taliban agreeing to the Americans, sitting with Americans, doing deals with Americans. They're going soft. They're not enforcing Islamic law. So I mean, just a fraction of your membership leaving you and joining ISIS will be a nightmare, right? The amount of headache that ISIS Khorasan could have for the Taliban and Afghanistan. I mean, even economically looking at it, the level of instability that that would cause for Afghanistan would mean that, so you either get no investments because people are like, oh, you're against women's rights, or you will get no investments and no trade because you didn't enforce Islamic law. So people have left the Taliban and joined ISIS, and now there's internal conflict, and that's the reason why people are not investing with you and trading with you, right? So I just want to make it you understand that it's more complicated than, oh, Taliban caveman enforcing hijab law. Like, I mean, it is that. I'm not denying that it's that, but sometimes we make this seem a lot more simple than it is. I mean, again, I'm not sympathizing with these guys, right? But I just wanted you put yourself in the position of a Taliban leader, and you realize that they think about these things, right? It's not that easy. And also, I also now want to support people who are the international community, because a lot of people are like, oh, why are people not getting rid of Taliban? Why are they talking to them? Why are they negotiating with them? I mean, you're insane if you think that that there's anything that could be done about this. I mean, you're not insane, but it's not that easy. Like, this is what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? They are the look at what Afghanistan is like.
Mhm.
There's a lot of support for the Taliban. There's a lot of support. It's not
Oh, yeah.
Afghanistan is not Iran. Okay, there's not. I mean, if you go to Kabul, if you go to universities in Kabul, you would think like people in Afghanistan are liberal and secularists. But or if you look at the activists in Afghanistan, if you listen to them, you would think like, oh my God, look at the women in Afghanistan. They're so liberal. They're so secular. But that is not the majority of Afghanistan, right? The picture, I mean, those women are amazing. They're brave. Like the women's protesting in Kabul against the Taliban,
Oh, it's
they are
insane.
they are amazing. They are, I mean, they should be, I mean, they probably would not like to hear what I'm saying right now. They will probably not like my message right now. But I hats off to them for their bravery, but they do not represent the majority of women in Afghanistan. There's two things that people in Afghanistan, you have to understand that they care about. First of all, they do care about Islam. Like, they do want Islam, right? Unlike most of the Iranian people, who don't want Islam in their government, most of the people in Afghanistan unfortunately do want that.
And we can see
And
this based
also,
on Pew Research polling from when the previous government was still in power and fully protected by the might of the US military.
yes,
Like,
yes, and
Afghanistan
also,
beforehand still had the death penalty for blasphemy. Like, this is not some secular paradise.
right. And by the way, honestly, right now, the best situation, unfortunately, for Afghanistan is to just have let Taliban be Taliban, because the alternative is internal war. I mean, I say that as an atheist that is against Islam. Right now, as bad as the Taliban is, the alternative would be war. The alternative would be internal conflict. The alternative would be complete instability. This is what the international community has realized. Like, the reality of Afghanistan is that this is Taliban's Afghanistan. This is
Well, they say
Taliban's
this is where
Afghanistan.
empires go to die. They say that for a reason.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
thing that really frustrates me when people are like, and I don't want this is not a criticism directed towards the Afghan activists that have sacrificed more than I can ever comprehend to give a voice to their people. This is a criticism for people that for lack of a better term, like just came online. I mean, like mentally, where they start criticizing, like, oh my God, the US, like, how could you turn your back on this? Like, what happened to supporting these values? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where were you guys for the past 20 years where the only thing that people would talk about would be leaving Afghanistan?
Mm,
D- have you noticed that, Armin? It was like literally there was such a low amount of support in America
yeah.
for our intervention in Afghanistan. And then we pull out and leave because Biden had the balls to do it, even though it went horribly. It went like as bad as it can go, incredibly unpopular, only to
Mm.
see this immediately come back into power. And people are like, why are you not doing anything? Because do you see what happened like over the last 20 years? Like it was not popular. It didn't go well. I mean, what do you think about my admittedly somewhat knee-jerk reaction to that?
No, no, yeah. The same people who are ask many times the same people who ask for United States to stop intervening, as soon as the United States stops intervening, are sometimes the same people who are like, "Oh, why are you abandoning these people?" Yeah,
It really frustrates me. I'm like, well, which is it?
yes. By the way, the U.S. leaving Afghanistan, a lot of people saw that as a sign of United States becoming weak and not being able to defend the Taliban. But actually, now that we look at what's happening long term, it actually might be a sign of United States becoming way more powerful. And the United States is becoming so powerful that it doesn't care much about what's happening in Afghanistan. Some people like it's it's becoming less important for United States to meddle in Middle East and the area surrounding the Middle East, because is it's much less reliant on it for energy than before. Um, United States main focus is going to be on, Taiwan and the area surrounding that in the maybe couple of next decades or so. I'm not saying that's the correct analysis, but I'm saying that's some people's analysis, some economists' analysis on what situation. Yeah, United
Mhm.
States is actually, a lot of people thought that United States is a falling empire. Right now, the data shows actually that it's actually the other way around. The gap between United States and China is increasing. It's not decreasing. China is not going to replace the United States as a superpower. United States is actually going to become more of a superpower. Again, I'm not saying this is the correct analysis, but I'm just saying this is what the recent data shows, that people have been wrong about that. Another thing is that the solution for, seems for Afghanistan is, again, a bottom up approach. Um, the Taliban is going to be here for the foreseeable future. If you want to see Afghanistan grow out of this phase, we need to get to the people. We need to change the mindset. You're not going to be able to change the government. I think that things are going to get better. You need to change the mindset of the people, and I think that, uh, and that's what the Taliban also understands. That's why they want to make sure that they maintain control over the education system. And I think the only way out of this is satellite internet and phones, eventually cheap phones that directly could connect to satellite internets in the future. I think that's, having AI as educators, having satellite internet and phones that could directly connect to the internet is how we're going to be able to bring liberalism to China, to Afghanistan, and even to North Korea at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, this is generations.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I just clicked to see, and we have a lot of super chats we need to catch up on. Um,
Thank you, guys.
First of all, Vikram is saying hi, Armin and Susanna. Hi, friend.
Hi.
And also Mariam June saying, morning, my angels. Miss you, Susie. I miss you too, Mariam. Delan tange barat. Um, I I'll just call this person
Come,
HT just became a member. Welcome to Satan's minions. Um,
lower your camera a little bit so you come, so it's not covering your face. Yeah, there we go.
okay. Rango just
Thank
gave a
you.
super sticker. Thank you. And Gasian American is saying, is there a politician in Iran that might create an Islam with humane characteristics, the same way that Deng had communism with Chinese characteristics?
There is no Islam with human characteristics. Islam will always, by definition, be connected to the Quran. And the only way for you to have an Islam with human characteristics is for you to be able to separate Islam from the Quran. And if you do that, it's not Islam anymore. So there's no
Mhm.
such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Uzair gave us a super chat. Thank you, saying this super, I think, this super chat is a jihad against the religious hyp- hypnotherapeutic subconscious mind manipulations suppressing humanity all over the world. That's
Thank
deep.
you.
Thank you. And David Costa gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you, David. Saying, really enjoying your views. Thank you, Armin in Seattle. Well, thank you for supporting Atheist Republic, David. It helps a lot.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.